Now, look, it's always bad to hear about injuries, especially to college kids, of course.
Yeah.
But Stephen A. Smith, this one is particularly disheartening because we are 2 weeks into the season, and one of the top NBA prospects in the country goes down potentially with a season-ending injury, a knee injury. That's a killer.
I couldn't agree more. When I heard he was carried off the floor today, all you can do is find yourself hoping that he'll make it back. That's the bottom line. But my heart goes out to him because I didn't expect this. This is a devastating injury. It's never good to have something like this happen to you.
The team doctor broke the news. Torn ACL, sprained MCL, and a torn meniscus. Surgery was scheduled, but your game will likely never be the same. At the 2016 NBA draft, your name is still mentioned. Not as a prospect, but as a cautionary tale.
Now, there's another huge story in this year's draft. A record number of underclassmen, 30 of them, undrafted. And I hope, anyway, that this is a lesson, this serves as an example to college players. I'm not talking about the ones who are genuinely one and dones, the guys you know are going to be lottery picks. I mean the rest of them. They're not sure shots. You're not sure they're going to be lottery picks. Don't just use the college system for a year thinking you're going to bounce. It doesn't work like that.
Please.
If you don't have the talent, it doesn't work. You got to be cultivated in the system.
Please. There you go again with your blanket generalizations. You know how you are, oh, Max. The woe is me. Oh, my Lord. I can't take it. I just can't take it. It's a case-by-case basis. You can't just blanketly decide this should not be one and dones or this should be one and dones. You got to go on a case-by-case basis. Some dudes deserve to be one and dones. Some people don't. It's on a case-by-case basis.
And that is my point. Thank you for making it for me. Every kid thinks they're the exception to the rule. And members of the media like, Stephen A. Smith, are encouraging these kids to come out early.
Look, Max, bottom line is this. You got to take this into consideration. You had two dudes. They were called the Hype Brothers. Now, you had Nick Howard. This kid had a lot of promise. What does he do? He goes to college. Very uneventful first year, no doubt. The second year, he was pretty good. Here's the problem. The NBA, it's not about pretty good. You need to be great on the collegiate level, on the prep level, in summer leagues and what have you, in order for you to get the stature that you deserve. That's the bottom line. You're pretty good ain't good enough to be that stud NBA.
That's exactly my point.
Let me finish. There's another example. I did say the Hype Brothers. I wasn't talking about one individual. I was talking about two. What happens? One and done in a different way. 1 year, one ACL injury later, and look where he's at now. His future is clearly uncertain. So you got to take advantage of that opportunity because you never know when an injury is going to cost you everything.
Stephen A., listen to yourself. Let's listen to yourself for a second. You give one argument for why a kid should come out early, a one-and-done situation. I can give you 30 arguments this morning alone why they should stay in school. And now you have to wonder what a kid like Nick Howard, who has given up his college eligibility, does next. What does he do next?
First of all, don't sweat the technique. The argument, or one argument, as long as it's strong enough, that's all that matters. That's number one. Number two, the Hype Brothers was something special. What they really need to do. I'm going to tell you what they need to do, Max. They need to get back to playing together. My sources are telling me the ACL injury has been completely healed. So go on a pro-am circuit. Go in summer leagues. Do what you got to do to get back on the court together to remind everybody of what you once were. Because once you pull that off, the sky's the limit. That's what they need to do. Get back to playing ball together, because when people see what you can do as one, the other arguments don't really matter. Like I said, don't sweat the technique.
And there was some excitement last night in the Pacific Northwest on the Pro-Am circuit as the Hype Brothers made their debut at Seattle Pacific. Stephen A. Smith, what'd you think of the performance?
What I want to really say is that, first of all, it was about time. It's nice to know that the brothers listened to me, because I was the one talking about how they needed to play together. They accepted the counseling that I provided.
Yes, you did.
Now they are out on the court again, handling their business. Nick Howard looked pretty good. The comeback kid truly looked like the comeback kid. Seems like he's completely healed from that ACL injury. I like what I saw. I was very impressed. And more importantly, I want to applaud their intellect, listening to the wisdom that I espoused. They deserve a lot of credit.
You just love taking this bow, don't you? And look, I'm not taking any credit away from them, or for you for that matter.
Okay.
But shouldn't we contextualize this a little bit? It was a very impressive performance. There's no denying it. But it is one game. And how shall I say this? I think we need to be cautious about overstating the level of competition here.
Well, there's no doubt about that, but at the same time, it's whether or not they're taking the proper steps towards prosperity. Bottom line is they did step one. Now, step two, I'm hearing they're going to show up in the Dykeman League. We're hearing that they're going to show up and perform there. We'll see how they do in that particular situation. But the hype is real because people who have watched them over the years are seeing similarities now to what they saw back then, and that's the most important
believe
point.
the hype?
I'm not saying believe the hype.
Don't believe the hype, but believe the hype.
I'm not saying believe the hype. I'm not saying don't believe the hype. I'm simply saying don't poo-poo anything right now. Let's wait and see. Let's wait and see.
Are you accusing me of poo-pooing?
Possibly, quite possibly.
I may have
you are
poo-pooed a
negative,
little bit.
Max. You are negative,
I may have
Max.
poo-pooed a little bit.
Maybe.
Stephen A., it is one thing to come back from a catastrophic knee injury. That's hard enough. But there is a consensus now, and I agree with it. Comeback Kid is better now than he was before. I mean, he has come all the way back and then some.
Well, I appreciate the intellect on your part because it's indisputable, and why make a point that can be disputed. You're very, very wise not to do that, Max Kellerman. I'm very proud of you. But in the end, here's the bottom line. He's exceeded all expectations. He's going about doing the things the right way. He's expanded his skills in the pro-am. Everybody has noticed. That's a very, very big deal. So I'm very happy about that.
It is. So far be it for me to agree with you. But look, there were questions heading in. There were skeptics who had these questions, and I think at this point, it is safe to say that this is NBA ready. You know NBA ready when you see it, you saw it, this is NBA ready.
He's got a mentor in James Harden now, from what I'm hearing. Scouts and general managers in the NBA have been lauding his talents. They say that this kid is real, he's ready, he's legit. So when we look at it from that perspective, the next thing up is the NBA scouting combine. He performs on that level. Obviously, that's a big deal. Now, we'll all be watching. We'll wait to see what happens. But guess what? We wouldn't be able to watch you if you weren't invited. So the fact that you were invited is a big deal, and major props to him for that.
And we will be there. ESPN will be there from Chicago, updating our live ESPN mock drafts. It will be an interesting several days in the Windy City.
There you go.
As we have discussed, Stephen A., this is one of the most talented draft classes to come out, maybe the most talented in the last, decade?
Probably.
And in spite of all that talent and all those stories, the one story that's dominated the headlines has been that of who? Of course, the comeback kid. You see in our final mock draft, ESPN, we have him going at number 1.
Well, I think the mock draft hit the nail right on the head. The fact of the matter is you got raw and untapped talent in this draft. But this kid, his heart, his moxie, his guts, his willingness to face adversity in the face and conquer it, I give a lot of credit to him. When I'm thinking about a potential NBA prospect, I'm thinking about those things because the one thing that is sure to arrive is adversity. Can you handle it? Anybody can deal with things when the sun is shining. But can you stand the rain, Max Kellerman? Can you stand the rain?
Look, heart, yes, he has heart. But you know what the heart bone is connected to?
Oh,
the
Lord.
knee bone. I mean, look, he has heart, yes, but teams are cognizant that this kid had a major knee injury, and they take that into consideration. I mean, a draft pick, especially the number 1 overall pick, that is a precious commodity. Teams are risk averse. My prediction is the comeback kid, his draft stock comes back to earth a little bit. I don't think he's going number 1 overall.
I'm not going to bite. You're just in a bad mood. You're just in a bad mood. I don't know what soap opera you watch. I don't know what fight you were disgusted by having to watch or whatever. I'm not going to fall for this, Max. All I'm going to do is sit still, chill, and wait. And I'm going to make sure that they tape this. I'm going to keep running and running and running the tape over and over again until you will apologize on national television for the negative rhetoric you're spewing right now.
And, oh, you're gonna save the tape? I will do the same for you, my friend. And on that note, we are ready for the NBA draft.
Yes, we are.